Miscellaneous. Today is Saturday, November 5th, 2016. What we're going to do is take this basic data set. We want to find out some information and report on it. Now this data set does have 1,000 records in it. It's the same data set I used in my pivot table training. So what we're going to start with is adding a new worksheet. So we're just going to click on our plus button down here. We're going to get sheet 2. We're going to double click that and rename it report. Simple. Okay. So whenever I start a report, I like to skip a few columns and skip a few rows because we want to put some information in the top and we want to make sure that the report looks good. So I'm going to start on cell C4 and I'm going to type in description. And on cell D4, we're going to type total. So our description. Now we're on cell C5, so we're going to put in here order min. We want to find out what the minimum order is. And then on cell C6, we're going to type in order max because we want to know what the maximum order is. And on cell C7, we're going to do order average so we know what the average order is. And on cell C8, we're going to put order count. And that's going to tell us how many orders exist in our system here. So just double clicking beside the C, or between the C and the D here to make that column a little bigger and to fit all the descriptions there. Okay, so now we're going to take our total field under total, cell B5. We're going to put a simple equation in here. So we always start our equation with equals, and we're going to type min, start the parentheses. It's going to ask us for the number. So what do we want a minimum of? Well, we're going to go back to our data set here, and we're going to just click on the G at the top. You're going to see that it filled in data set, which is the sheet name, and then it says the source is column G, so it starts with G, ends with G. It's not specifying a specific range, it's just that whole field. We're going to close our parentheses here. We're going to hit enter. So our minimum order is $2.13. Now we're going to do the same thing for maximum. We're going to type our equal sign, type in max, start our parentheses. We're going to go back to our data set and click on the G and the parentheses, hit enter. You can see that our maximum order was $999.93. Perfect, right? And now we're going to do our average. Type our equal sign, average, start parenthesis, come back to our data set, and click on the G. Simple, simple, simple. And now we want to count how many orders there were in this data set. So we're going to type our equal sign, we're going to type in count, start parenthesis, go back to our data set, and we're going to go to the ID field. That'll give us a true count of how many orders are out there. And our parentheses, hit enter, and we see that we have 1,000 orders. Now you can see that it's skipping the ID field because there's actually 1,001 rows. So it skipped that because it's not a number field. So just a little FYI there. Okay, well this doesn't look very appealing, so we're going to highlight that. And we're going to go to Format as Table. And the one that I really like here, we're going to do this in green. We're going to do Table Style Medium 7. So we're going to do that. And our table does have headers, so we'll click OK on there and check that out. We got a nice little table. Now I like to add the dollar amount, so I'm going to select all of that, right click, and I'm going to go to Format Cells, and we're going to do this in a currency format. Just click on that. I accept the default values, so I press OK, and there. Now we have a nice little table. Now rather than redoing this, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to skip 2 columns, and I'm going to paste this in column G4. Okay, so we have that pasted in there. Now I want to know how many, or what the minimum order for males were. So male, min, and in here we're going to do a MINIFS statement. So what we're going to do is it wants a min range, so we're going to go back to our data set, and we're going to say that we want the G column for amount. Our criteria range is going to be the gender field. We're going to put a comma every time you have a set. So you have the data set GG, that's what we're trying to find out what the minimum amount is. Our data set FF is saying that we want to look only at that column. Notice the comma in between there separating the function. And now our criteria is going to be male. So we can just simply type that in there. So once we close our parentheses, you can add additional statements to this MINIFS. So you could say if it's male or undecided, you wanted it included, but we're not going to go into that today. We'll go into that in a later video. So we're just going to go ahead and close that statement, and we're going to hit enter. So now you can see that the male minimum total was $2.13. Now on the male max, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do equals MAXIFS. And where's our range? Going back to the data set. I'm pressing Control and page up to get to that. So our max range is the amount. Again, we put the comma to go to the next part of the syntax. And now we're in our criteria range. Well, now we're looking at the gender again. And again, we want to type in male for the criteria. So we have our range that we want the maximum is range G, which is the amount. Our criteria range is column F, which is the gender. And our criteria is that equals male. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter on, on the statement and hit enter. Okay, so now we see that our male maximum is $994.81. Now, you see that we already have an error here, and that's because there's nothing in column K. Excel always compensates for the number of columns that you've moved over. So we're just going to ignore that because we're going to rewrite the statement anyway. So now we're going to do our equals average if. So now we want to go back to our data set, click on the amount column, and this is for our range. Oh, I'm sorry, nope. This is the average if statement. So it's set up a little differently than the MINIFS, or even if you use the average ifs, because it's saying that those say that there's more than one condition typically. So since this is an average if statement, we're going to start with our range being the gender and our criteria being male. And our average range is going to be our amount. So you can see that our average order for males is $487.91. So we're going to put male AVG, and then we're going to put male count. And for this, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do equals count if. And again, now we're using count if. So there's only two criteria. So we want to count these if that column equals male. So since we're not doing a average, we're not looking at numbers or anything, we have just two statements that we have to put in. We have to look at our gender, and it equals male. So we're going to hit enter on that. Now you'll notice that I didn't close that out, but Excel will automatically do that. So now we see that there's 506 males in this data set. And I'm going to copy this again, go over two columns, and we're going to paste that, expand it. Now we're going to do the same thing with female. I'm just going to go ahead and put these in real quick. Perfect. Okay, so again, equals MINIFS, page up, and we're going to do our min range is the amount, our criteria range is the gender, and our criteria is female. Statement, and on the female max, we're going to do the same thing, equals max if, make sure you put that ifs in there, otherwise you're going to have a problem. And go back to our data set, looking at the amount range for the max range. Criteria range is going to be the gender again, and this is again going to be female. And for the average, equals average ifs, average if, our range is the gender, criteria is female, and our average range is the amount. Boom. And count F. Oh, I did it. Okay. Count F. We're only looking at gender, and it equals female. Okay. So now we can quickly test our data here. We can say, all right, so we have 494 females and 506 males. Does that equal the 1,000 count? Well, if you look down here, it does say sum is 1,000. So 506 plus 494 is 1,000. So it looks like that totaled out pretty well. All right, so we have that. Now, one of the things that is a big pet peeve of mine is all these grid lines. So I'm going to go into my view menu here and take off the grid lines. So that just makes it a little nicer. I'm also going to select rows A1, 2, and 3 and drag all the way over to N3. I'm going to go back to my home menu, and I'm going to merge and center that. And we're going to actually center this here and put this at a 20-point font, and then go ahead and bold this. I'm going to put border statistics. Alright, so now I want to just do a little bit of charting here just to make this a visual dashboard. So we're going to select this first data set here. We're going to insert, and we're going to insert a clustered column chart here. Okay, so you can see that it's already filled in all of our data here. We're going to add data labels to this because I want to see what our actual totals were. And we're going to take out the total. We want this to be, we're going to use style 5 as our chart style. And I don't like the white on there, so I'm going to change that text to be black. Okay. So, since our table for this is green, we're going to change that color as well. So we're going to change colors. I'm going to go into the monochromatic green here, which will automatically format that to the light color. I'm going to condense that a little bit there. So there, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Okay. So now I want to go over to this one. First, I'm going to go to this table tools, and we're going to make this a little different here. So I'm going to use this blue for the males. I'm going to copy this chart so I don't have to format it again. Oops. And then just paste it over here. Just make sure that your graphs or your charts are all the same size, the same width, and then we're going to. In here, we're going to actually go into our design, and we're going to select our data. Our data is going to be this blue column now. So you can see that it's already adjusted that. I'm going to press OK on that. And then, of course, we want to change our colors to be blue now, because that was the color we chose for the male. And we're just going to paste one more chart in here. one. Again, we're going to go into select our data. I'm just going to select this. Okay, so now we've got our females there. And we're going to change our colors. And you can choose any colors you want. I'm going to use the orange for this. And we're going to change our table as well to be the orange table. There we go. Alright. Everything's on there. So that was a quick and easy way to report your data. If you have any questions, please go to www.excelgenius.co and you can send me a message from there. And be sure to check out our other training videos at www.excelgenius.co/training. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.